Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the Dana Point City Council meeting for May the 20th. City Attorney, do we have any news to report out of our closed session?
Nothing to report.
Okay, thank you. Right, if you'll all rise, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led today by Councilmember Breaux, and the invocation following.
If you'll join me, we just had a very poignant ceremony, 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War, the traveling wall at Sea Terrace Park. I hope you all able to join that. If you just remember those who had fallen during the Vietnam War, and repeat after me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. The invocation this evening will be provided by Pastor David Matson from Gloria Dei Lutheran Church.
Thank you. Let us pray. Gracious God, we thank you for this day and the opportunity and privilege and blessing of living in this place and time. We pray that you would grant wisdom and your spirit to the council as they are about the business of your city, that everything that we do and say and decide will be for the benefit of all your people. In your holy name, amen.
Amen.
Please be seated. This time we'll now move on to our presentations and proclamations, and we'll start with our May Business of the Month. Ursula, if you'll lead off, please.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. And tonight we are going to discuss the May 2014 Business of the Month. And I'm pleased to announce that Brio Tuscany Grill is the May Business of the Month for 2014, and we are joined this evening by Brio Tuscany Grill owner Enzo Scognamiglio, played it okay, and his wife Jill and daughter Lisa. I practiced, sorry. Enzo has been in the restaurant and hospitality industry for over 30 years, and Brio Tuscany Grill opened in Dana Point in 1993 and recently celebrated their 20th anniversary in 2013. They are located on the corner of Nigel Road and Camino del Avion. Brio prides itself on offering authentic entrees made from the finest ingredients. The menu features homemade gourmet pastas, locally grown produce, USDA, and TR natural beer, and more. It also includes an array of excellent items, including con brio salad, fettuccine al ragu, filet of sole, and filet mignon. In addition to the amazing food is the excellent customer service and the friendly atmosphere. Customers are treated like family and feel welcome as soon as they step inside the door. Brio offers both indoor and outdoor seating that provides a romantic ambiance with dimly lit ceilings, tables lit by candlelight, and soft music from above. For customers wanting a little bit more excitement, Brio offers entertainment 5 nights a week. They have a large dance floor, full stage bar and TVs, and they are available to host office parties, wedding receptions, birthdays, anniversary parties, etc. So on behalf of the City Council, I would like to congratulate Brio Tuscany Grill for being selected the May 2014 Business of the Month. We wish you many years of success and prosperity.
Thank you.
Enzo, Jill, and Lisa, if you could join me front and center.
Then it looks.
You're very welcome. It is my pleasure to have Brio Tuscany Grill as our May Business of the Month. You know, we have so many great businesses within our city, and this is one of our jewels that we have in town. Even though it's not in the town center or the harbor, it's on the borderline of one of our neighboring cities. And so sometimes, you know, people think, oh, is that really in Dana Point or not? And it's really good to recognize those businesses that are kind of out there right on the borderline. We've got some fantastic businesses, and Brio Tuscany Grill is one of them. Great food, indoor, outdoor seating. It's wonderful to go there in the summertime, and everything I've ever had there has been absolutely delicious. They're also a great partner with the community of Dana Point. When we have our nonprofits stepping forward with events to fundraise, whether it's for the 5th Marines or for the Boys and Girls Club, I mean, Brio Tuscany Grill is always out there front and center, ready to help out with our nonprofits in the community and any community event we have. It's a great partner, and we love having them in town. So don't hesitate to head out to Camino del Avion and Niguel Road. They're right there on that corner, but it is part of Dana Point. We love having them in our city, and congratulations. I'd love to have you say a few words.
Thank you. Well, you are definitely a natural there. Thank you, everybody, and I really appreciate it. Councils, city manager, and staff, thank you very much for recognizing Brio. It is a pleasure being in the city for over 20 years. I love my little Dana Point city, and that's it. A lot of people looking at me. I know. I see a lot of familiar faces. Thank you very much for honoring us. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
It's great to have you here. We have a certificate. This is for a certificate of recognition for Brio Tuscany Grill, featured business of the month for May 2014. The city of Dana Point takes great pleasure in featuring Brio Tuscany Grill, located at 24050 Camino del Avion in Dana Point, and extends our congratulations on being named Dana Point featured business of the month by Mayor Lisa Bartlett on behalf of the Dana Point City Council and the city of Dana Point. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. You're welcome. Please. Congratulations.
Grazie. Grazie. Thank you again.
Oh, hold on. Come back. I forgot. We've got our Chamber of Commerce to present you with a certificate as well. Yes.
Thank you. Congratulations. From the Dana Point Chamber of Commerce, congratulations on being Business of the Month. On behalf of the Dana Point Chamber and all of our members and the Board of Directors.
Thank you. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. You're good? I'll take the goods.
Thank you so much.
Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you. We will now have our May Employee of the Month, Jennifer Anderson. I'd like to ask our Public Works Director, Brad Fowler, to come up to assist me and to say a few words about Jennifer. Jennifer, if you come up with your family. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, we all have kids. We all understand. So I'm just so pleased that the mayor's recognizing Jennifer Anderson tonight from the Public Works staff. Jennifer is a senior management analyst, and you kind of wonder what that means. Well, she's worked her way up from an administrative secretary, beginning with the city in 1999, and then became an accounting tech, and then a management analyst, and now senior management analyst. And she's raising 3 boys, and she does have a husband. Her husband is out guarding the countryside as the county sheriff tonight and was unable to make it. So I don't know how she fits in all the things that she does for us here in Dana Point and still takes care of such a wonderful family. But what she does is she runs our budget in Public Works and also does the capital improvement program budget. So part of it's being good with numbers. Part of it is that she runs our trash franchise agreement and a lot of things that go along with that, whether it be our food waste program, a pilot initiative to actually take food waste out now to help prevent filling up the landfills, whether it be the bulky item cleanup. She runs those 3 that some of you participate in every year. She runs the composting program, and I understand you had nearly 30 people this last weekend, and every time someone wants to come in and start composting in town, that happens. When we do a lot of our staffing work for some of the programs that the council asks us to work on, such as the ban on styrofoam, ban on plastic bags, Show Your Love Dana Point, the Zero Waste Program, all that research that goes into putting those things together, we depend on Jennifer to do. When you drive around town and you see the banners up on the poles that's for the holiday season or for special events, that all comes through Jennifer, and she organizes that and works out with all the people to make those things happen. So it's amazing everything that she does and how much we depend on her. But the thing we love most about her is her wonderful, wonderful attitude and how much sunshine she brings to us every morning in the office, because she is just fabulous to work with.
Yes. Yes. Jennifer has a real can-do attitude, which is just amazing. It makes such a difference. You bring something to her that's a problem, and it's a matter of, okay, I can take care of this. I can do it. I will take care of it. And that's the kind of employee we love having in Dana Point, because we've got so much going on in our community all the time, and to have employees like Jennifer step up to the plate and want to help out no matter what it's in regard to. It makes such a difference. That positive attitude really reflects well on the staff and on our community, too. We get a lot of great feedback from people out in the community. So thank you for all you do, and congratulations on being the May Employee of the Month. Okay.
Thank you very much. I'm beyond grateful to be standing up here tonight with my wonderful boss and the council members and all the staff behind me. I'm very appreciative and grateful, and I can't imagine working for a better city. I'm very blessed to be here, and all the years I've been here, it just keeps getting better and better, so I'm very honored. Thank you very much.
Want to help me hold this? Okay. And I won't go through all of the whereas clauses, because I think Brad was pretty thorough in covering everything that that Jennifer's done. But we do have a certificate of recognition for you. And let's see, let's see what wasn't covered here. Brad, you were so thorough. So I'll just get to the therefore clause that on behalf of the Dana Point City Council and the City of Dana Point, we congratulate you on being selected the Employee of the Month for May 2014 and wish you many more years with the City of Dana Point. So thank you so much. Okay, great. Okay, I'm going to turn that around and we'll take some pictures. Okay. I love it when I can actually stand behind someone and you can see me. Thank you very much. Reach your sense. Great. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. And we will now move on to our Wildfire Prevention Week. If we could have Battalion Chief Carl Schmutz please come forward and present the proclamation.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks for this proclamation as we try to reduce the effects of wildfires on our community, especially in light of what's just occurred this last week just down south in San Diego as we enter fire season. We just want to make sure everybody's aware and are safe when they're outdoors and protect their homes and be prepared for the unlikely event or the unfortunate event what we deal with today with wildfires.
Thank you for coming forward. I think we have a presentation here, a proclamation. And it is great to make everyone aware of the fact that it is fire season. It's only May, but you know, the grounds are very dry. And all it takes is one little spark or someone at a campfire where the spark gets out of control, and before you know it, we've got a raging wildfire. I think we had, how many fires do we have at Camp Pendleton over the weekend?
There was three separate, well, there was two main fires over in Camp Pendleton that spread over quite a large distance, and that was just in the Camp Pendleton area, you know.
And those came up very quickly as well. Okay, we have a proclamation for Wildfire Awareness Week, which is May 4th through the 10th of 2014. And I won't read all the whereas clauses, but just Wildfire Awareness Week is a valuable opportunity for California fire agencies, partners, and communities to reduce the risk of wildfire and increase public safety and environmental health. And that's something you do such a great job at. We appreciate all the great work that you do in our county. Continue the great work, and everyone take note of the Wildfire Awareness Week, and be on the lookout. If you see any suspicious activity, call it in. Okay? All right. Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, you again? Okay. I don't need my notes then. You're a repeat offender. Okay. Well, now we move on to drowning prevention awareness. So I'll let you take the lead again.
Okay. As summertime approaches here, we really emphasize safety around the water. Last year we had 71 drowning incidents in the county, and we really emphasize the fact that this is such a tragedy in our community. We're trying to do everything we can do to prevent this from happening to any family. So please make sure you're safe around the water. Visit our website at OCFA and for water tips and protecting your families around the water. Thank you.
Okay, we have a proclamation as well. Now, this proclamation is for drowning prevention awareness. As you can see, our OCFA does an awful lot in the city and the county. Let's see. Whereas the Orange County Fire Authority, in partnership with Children's Hospital in Orange County, will be taking this opportunity to increase public awareness about drownings through an extensive community outreach campaign. And it's great that you're doing that because, when we do have the potential drowning victims and they're succumb to the water, where they go is the hospitals. And it's really an increased burden to our emergency wards because they have to service everyone coming into the community. And if we can prevent a lot of these incidents from happening, it also lessens the burden on our hospitals and it keeps people safe in the community as well. So thank you for the great work you do. Appreciate it. Okay, we have another photo opportunity. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay. And now we'll move on to our consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one roll call vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless members of the City Council, the public, or staff request specific items be removed from the consent calendar for separate action. Are there any items to be removed by staff?
Not this evening.
Okay. By the public?
None this evening.
Okay. By the City Council? No? Okay. Yes.
A brief staff report on item 17, if possible.
Okay. If we could have a motion for the balance?
Second.
Okay. We need to have a hand vote this evening.
That is correct, Madam Mayor. Are you?
Aye.
Yes, correct. One moment. Councilmember Breaux. Aye. Thank you. Councilmember Olvera.
Aye.
Councilmember Schoeffel.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Weinberg.
Yes.
And Mayor Bartlett already said aye, so we have a consensus 5-0. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Okay. Now we'll move back to item number 17. Could we have a staff report, please?
Of course, Mayor Bartlett. I'd be happy to provide one. As Council is aware, and we've repeatedly said at past meetings, and especially at the Joint Planning Commission City Council meeting, the planning counter and the building counter are simply being overwhelmed with the amount of permit and advanced planning activity going on. As a result, rather than hiring full-time staff, we did hire one, but it's candidly, that's to help us get the Doheny Village specific plan along, as well as to help out at the public counter. And Ursula is making great strides towards moving that forward. But again, we have a tremendous amount of planning activity going on and building activity. And so what we're doing is we're pursuing the help of contract support as opposed to full-time staff. We also had a senior planner go out on maternity leave. We expect her back in the coming months, and we also had a senior planner who had to leave the country unexpectedly to attend to a death in her immediate family. So with that, what you have before you this evening, again, is our preferred way of dealing with the hectic pace at the public counters, and that's with contract support to supplement our existing full-time staff.
Okay, thank you. Comments or questions from council? Yes, Councilmember Schoeffel.
Just a couple of questions. First of all, the last time we looked at this, we filled the unfilled position, correct?
That's correct, sir.
That's allocated to, roughly speaking, Doheneyville's specific plan,
As well as some
counter
planning effort at the counter.
Just out of curiosity, how does our increased planning work break down? Can you pie chart it?
I can, and well, let me. Ursula and I talk about this weekly because it's a ripple effect. What goes on at the planning counter happens at the building counter a month or two later. So what we have to do is when we look at the amount of building.
And Mr. Schock, if I can just interrupt, the reason I'm asking the question is I'm wondering if this is enough and if we need to kind of look further down the road than this. So I'm just trying to get a sense of today's load and the foreseeable load for tomorrow.
Right. If you'll notice, what we're doing is taking this through the end of the fiscal year, and what we're going to do is when we come back with the budget adjustment in June, what we're going to do is take a look at, again, update the amount, the planning numbers and the building numbers, as well as looking at when we're going to get our 2 senior planners back, and we'll most likely make a recommendation there too for additional contract effort, but in the coming fiscal year, as we close out the books on this fiscal year.
So any reason for this? I mean, any breakdown on our planning work out there?
But being a residential community, Ursula and I talk about that. If based upon a memo she gave me today, right now of the planning effort, 60% of our planning effort is geared toward our residential effort. And keep in mind, we have a lot of effort going on at the Headlands, but the residential activity is tremendous, and it really reflects a robust personal investment in our community and people's homes. Of the planning effort, 68% is of the residents, and obviously 32% is geared towards the commercial side. On the building permit side, 89%, we have 352 permits for building, 66 of the a total of 418 building permits out right now. Of that, 352 are for residential projects representing $20 million of assessed value. We have 66 for commercial building improvements with an assessed value of approximately $1 million. So as you can see, we have a very robust effort going on in our residential business, in our residential areas.
Is that all over town, or is that new construction, remodeling?
All over, all of the above, because obviously the Headlands homes are high dollar value homes, but at the same time we're seeing a robust investment of people's existing homes.
And if I can only add that was just data from January 1st of this year through today. So those were the building permits issued in that time period.
Yeah, for 6 months. And so what we're doing as we prepare, and the reason this information is very timely, as we prepare for the budget update, we're trying to get our handle on, in a proactive way, our contract staffing, so again we can maintain a very high level of effort at that public counter.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. Do we have a motion on this item?
I would move the item, Madam Mayor.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have the vote, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Breaux? Aye. Councilmember Olvera?
Aye.
Councilmember Schoeffel?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Weinberg?
Aye.
Mayor Bartlett?
Aye. Okay, that item
Thank you.
passes.
5-0 consensus. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. At this time, the city clerk will read the titles and ordinances listed on the agenda.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I do not have any titles to read this evening.
Okay, very good. We'll now move on to public comments. Any person wishing to address the City Council during the public comments section or on an agenda item is asked to complete a request to speak form available on the table at the side of the council chamber. The completed form is to be submitted to the city clerk prior to the agenda item being called by the mayor and prior to the individual being heard by the city council. In order to conduct a timely meeting, there will be a 3-minute limit per person and an overall time limit of 15 minutes for this public comments portion of the agenda. At the mayor's discretion, the balance of public comments will be heard after the new business portion of the agenda. All comments are to be directed to the city council and shall not consist of any personal attacks. Members of the public are expected to maintain a professional, courteous decorum during their comments. State law prohibits the city council from taking action on a specific item unless it appears on the posted agenda. If anyone has handouts to distribute to the city council, please follow the proper procedure and hand them to the city clerk. The city clerk will see that they are distributed. And we have several individuals coming forth for public comments. When I call your name, please come up to the podium and state your name and city of residence. The first is James Littlejohn.
Madam Mayor, City Council, my name is James Littlejohn, and I'm the Executive Director of the Boys and Girls Clubs of Capistrano Valley, and I live in Mission Viejo, California. As you get into your budget process this year, I'm coming forward to first and foremost to thank you for your continual financial support to the Boys and Girls Club. In the past, you have funded us at the highest level at $45,000, but recently the funds have been cut to $25,000 a year. As you know, what we do at the Boys and Girls Club, we do provide a great program for kids to go to after school. We've had kids that are from Dana Point that have went to the White House and been with met the president. They've gone to the military. They've become great artists. They've graduated from college. In 2013, the Boys and Girls Club had a membership of 2,500, served 2,500 members in the cities of San Juan, Aliso Viejo, Rancho Santa Margarita, and a few other ones, Ladera Ranch, Laguna Hills. Dana Point is our second largest population of kids that we serve at 355 kids, with San Juan Capistrano being the largest. Our annual budget is $1.5 million. It costs us about $213 to run the programs for the 355 kids in Dana Point. It costs us, that roughly comes to about $600 per kid to run programs for those 355 kids. We charge each kid a membership of $50 per year. If they can't afford membership, we offer partial or full scholarships depending on their income level, which we figure out through the free and reduced lunch school program. In collaboration with the Capital Unified School District, we bring over 35 kids by bus from RH Dana Monday through Friday. We also have a morning program before school starts Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 8:30 a.m., which Dana Point kids attend. We receive about $76,000 from the city of San Juan Capistrano and about $150 from the city of Aliso Viejo and about $120 from the city of Rancho Santa Margarita. I think we 39 seconds. I think we are the largest Dana Point youth serving agency outside of the Capital Unified School District. So I'm just here to ask if you, when you look at the budget this year, really consider looking at, remember what the kids are all about, and remember what we do for the kids, and just take that in consideration. The kids are our most valuable resources, I think, in your community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Our next speaker is Alan Wickstrom.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Alan Wickstrom, resident of Dana Point. First, I want to compliment you and the VFW for a fine job they did on the Vietnam Wall. Had the honor of being there on Wednesday and on Saturday volunteering, and it was just good to see out there, and want to commend the city for the support of the VFW. Very, very fine job. I'm actually here this evening to echo James Littlejohn's comments on the Boys and Girls Club at Capital Valley. My first experience at the Boys and Girls Club was as a customer. My daughter joined the Boys and Girls Club as a member in 6th grade and was very formative. Middle school is a very challenging time for any young person, and that's when they learn how to either get in Russ's front door there or not. And that's a very formative time. And the city invests in many tangible assets, and the investments this council make are very visible and very tangible, and the city is growing, and we see beautiful trees going up, and the Lantern District progressing and doing very well. But the intangibles are those support that we give to items like the Boys and Girls Club, keeping those kids busy with whatever entertains them, be it art, math, their homework club. My daughter actually learned her homework skills better there than at home because she and I would argue about homework. So that was just the nature of the beast on that. So, but I owe a lot to them. And as my daughter progressed through that, went on to high school, I wasn't involved so much, but then through my Rotary Club got involved and had the honor of last year working with Yossi Rojas. Everybody knows him. Yossi's a wonderful young man, and that club changed his life, and he will be one of our future leaders. I'm sure someday we're all in the old Dana Point retirement home. We'll see Yossi somewhere up here locally leading us in that realm. And so again, that intangible asset, that sponsorship that you guys can give to the Boys and Girls Club, I strongly encourage you to keep them out of our Chief of Police's front door and look at a good investment. My understanding is the annual cost for Dana Point members is about $213,000 a year. And they get that through a lot of private donations and generous donors. I'm a donor. My Rotary Club's a donor, and there's many of us that are sitting up here that I know also give a lot. But I think it would be really key for us to see this city make that investment to match it. So, again, thank you for your continued support of the Boys and Girls Club. Let's see what we can do to increase it. Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Teresa Rappin.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council. My name is Teresa Rathbun, and I live here in Dana Point. I'm a single mother who has lived in Dana Point for over 20 years. My 3 children have grown up here and attended local public schools as well as the Boys and Girls Club their entire lives. This program has and continues to be invaluable to me as a resident of Dana Point. It has provided a safe, enriching environment for my girls during those hours where I couldn't be with them due to my work schedule. The activities and supervision provided by the Boys and Girls Club has fostered an interest and pride for our local community in my daughters that other programs can't even come close to offering. As a result of the wonderful opportunities presented by the club, my girls have learned about leadership, civic pride, and have been participants in local events and volunteer activities that we otherwise wouldn't have had the opportunity to be involved in. My youngest daughter, Danielle, who is with me tonight, has been particularly influenced by the fantastic programs and guidance provided by the Boys and Girls Club. As a budding artist, her work has been encouraged by being a member of the club. She was awarded for her artistic talent when her work was chosen to be the theme for the Capistrano Swallows Day Parade in 2012 when she was just 10 years old. This honor instilled in her a strong sense of pride and belonging in our community. If I can share with you right now, this is what Danielle created at the Boys and Girls Club. This is the original, and the Fiesta Association chose it to be on the cover of the Swallows Day Parade back in 2012. So that's one of the many things that the club has done for me and my daughter. I represent just one out of dozens of parents from Dana Point whose children have benefited and have been enriched by our local Boys and Girls Club. I ask on behalf of many that you continue to financially support this valued and vital resource for our children. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Regina Hilburn.
Good evening, Mayor, Councilman. I'm here as also to support the Boys and Girls Club. My name is Regina Hilburn. I live in San Juan Capistrano. And we moved here about 4 years ago. And if it wasn't for the Boys and Girls Club, I don't know what we would have done for my daughter, because both my husband and I work, and there was no other place that we could put her that we could actually afford and feel safe. We really like the club. It really supplied my daughter, Amelia, with lots of variety to do. The computers, they have a computer program, art program. She's involved in they play in the gym, they play basketball. So it's a really great program for parents to feel comfortable going to work every day and not worrying about their children. I really would appreciate it if you considered continuing to fund the Boys and Girls Club, because we need all the support we can get. Thank you.
Thank you. And our final speaker this evening is Patty Short.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council, and staff. My name is Patty Short. I live in Dana Point, and I'm here tonight on behalf of the Dana Point 5th Marine Regimental Support Group. How's that for a mouthful? In 2004, the Dana Point 5th Marines was organized under the guidance of the Dana Point City Council. And the purpose was really to support the members of the 5th Marines whose headquarters is on Camp Pendleton, right down at the north end of Camp Pendleton. And in that endeavor, at that time, there was a lot of support sent in the form of care packages to our deployed sailors and Marines, as well as supporting their families and those Marines who were stateside. In the ensuing 10 years, we have done a number of things to help support the Marines and families. We've done welcome home parties, deployment parties. We've helped in cases of emergencies. We've done celebrations. We've had emergency funds that we've given. We do Thanksgiving and Christmas dinners, particularly for the single Marines who do not have the opportunity to join their families during the holidays. And in addition to that, we have also assisted them in transitioning as the drawing down of the forces is progressing. We're assisting the Marines in mentoring them and getting back into civilian life. Another aspect of the things that we've done have to do with our fallen. We, through the help of citizens throughout South County and other places, were able to raise enough funds to erect 2 monuments at Camp Pendleton, one for the fallen in Afghanistan and one for the fallen in Iraq. And finally, we have actively supported our Wounded Warriors through efforts of primarily sports programs and other efforts. We never would have been able to do any of this without the foresight of the members of the Dana Point City Council and staff, and also for the support we received over the years. We appreciate it, and we're here to say thank you. You see us around. We hope we're going to be around. You will see us this summer at concerts and events, giving staff support, and we have 3 events coming up that we do as fundraisers in this summer. On the June 2nd, we have our combat golf tournament. In July, we have our car wash, and in September, we have our Semper Funny, which is a comedy night to raise funds. Thank you very much, and thank you from the Dana Point 5th Marines.
Thank you. That concludes our public comments. We'll now move on to item number 18, public hearings. Hearing on appeal of Planning Commission decision approving site development permit SDP 07-15I and conditional use permit CUP 98-14 MI, amending previous approvals to allow the relocation and expansion of approved conference facilities in place of the existing tennis courts, a reduction in the number of detached casitas from 3 to 2, minor changes to the landscaping palette, and a corresponding revision to the hotel's shared parking program. If we could have a staff report, please.
Of course, Mayor Bartlett. What I'd like to do is, first of all, mention that Ursula is going to be giving a staff report shortly. What we have here is an appeal of the determination the Planning Commission made relative to the Ritz-Carlton expansion, as you have articulated. Staff's recommendation that after you hear the appeal, that the council take action to uphold the Planning Commission's actions, adopt an addendum to the previously prepared adopted negative deck for the project, and 2, approving a site development permit and conditional use permit by adopting the attached draft resolution that's provided in your package. What I'd like to do, with your permission, Mayor Bartlett, is ask Ursula to provide a staff report, and then you can, I would ask that you conduct a public hearing and hear from the appellant.
Thank you. Ursula?
Presentation, please. Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the City Council. As City Manager mentioned, we're here this evening on a de novo hearing for the Ritz-Carlton expansion project, which consists of consideration of a site development permit and a conditional use permit. A little bit of brief history. This property's had a myriad of approvals in the past, with the most recent being in 2009 by the Planning Commission for a site development permit and conditional use permit. The California Coastal Commission retains jurisdiction to issue the coastal development permits in this area, and they did approve a coastal development permit in 2012 for the approvals by the Planning Commission with a few modifications. One was the reduction of the casitas from 3 to 2, and some of the other items outlined when you read the title of the agenda report. The city adopted a negative declaration in compliance with the California Environmental Quality Act when the Planning Commission made their consideration in 2009. The slide before you just shows the property, which I think we're all familiar with. The applicant desires to make some changes to the project from the previous 2009 approval. The primary change is to enlarge the approved 15,200 square foot conference facility to a 36,071 square foot conference facility. The new proposed facility would be located where the existing tennis courts now sit, as opposed to the previous location, which is depicted on this slide before you. The previous location required a height variance. The new proposed structure, while larger, is only 2 stories and does not require a height variance. And if you look, this will transition. This was the previous 2009 approved smaller banquet facility, and this now is the proposed larger banquet facility that is for your consideration this evening. And I'll quickly go through some slides depicting the project. These are views of the proposed conference facility location. This is the ballroom floor plan for the proposed larger facility. I'm going to go through some elevations. This is the south elevation for the meeting space. This is the west elevation, which is the view from the parking structure. This is the east elevation. And these are some view simulations. This upper right-hand key map shows you where the vantage point is from. This is over to the left, the existing Magellan Isle view. This is existing view, and then down to the right bottom is the simulated view, and you can see the structure over to the left here where my arrow is pointing. This, again, is the key for the vantage point, the existing Shackleton Isle view. You can see the existing tennis courts, and this is the simulated view over to the bottom right, and you can see the proposed facility. An addendum to the negative declaration was prepared for the approval that went to the Planning Commission on April 14th. And there were no new environmental impacts identified, and the addendum was the appropriate environmental document. So the actions taken by the Planning Commission at the April 14th meeting, they approved the addendum, and they approved the site development permit and the conditional use permit. There were some discussion about some additional conditions of approval related to landscaping and noise, which were discussed and incorporated into the Planning Commission resolution and have been included in the resolution that has been prepared for your consideration this evening. A timely appeal of the Planning Commission's decision was received on April 29th. The staff report before you for tonight's item summarizes the main areas of concern, which can be summed largely with noise. There's a little bit of nuances that are in the staff report, which if you have specific questions, I'd be happy to answer those at the end of the presentation. As a result of the appeal, staff included one additional condition of approval that was not included in the Planning Commission resolution, which is condition number 13, related to noise and delivery trucks. The applicant has requested revised language to condition number 13, which has been prepared before you in a memo format. Staff believes it to be in the same spirit and intent as staff's proposed language, and so we are recommending that if the City Council approve the item before you, that you include that language. And to summarize, staff is recommending that the City Council approve the addendum to the negative declaration, approve the site development permit and the conditional use permit with the proposed conditions, including revised condition number 13 with the proposed language before you. Staff believes that the conditions address the concerns raised by the appellant. Prior to considering this item, staff recommends that the mayor open the public hearing, hear the appellant's arguments, hear the applicant's rebuttal, hear the appellant's conclusionary remarks, hear from any interested parties, and close the public hearing prior to deliberation. And at this point, staff is available to respond to any questions.
Great, thank you. Do we have any questions from the City Council before we open the public hearing? No? Okay, I shall open the public hearing. We'll have the appellant come forward, and you'll be provided with 7 minutes of oral argument.
This is Judith Hummer.
I just want to be sure I understand my timing. You said 7 minutes, and later is it 5? Because that's what I was told. Is it 7 to 3? I just want to be clear.
We're going
in
to
my
have
head.
7 minutes for your oral argument and then 3
Ma'am.
minutes for closing for
Okay,
you.
I just want to get clear.
Okay, great, thank you.
My name is Judith Hummer, 33641 Magellan Isle, Post Office Box 577. I apologize. I'm speech impaired, and it's worse when I'm stressed or tired. Thank you for hearing my appeal. I'm here because of hotel noise. I'm here because the noise level increased improperly. We have a serious problem. Last Friday, I received a staff report and have had no time to reply in writing. I like these conditions. Thank you. Especially Condition 8 that requires noise monitoring and mitigation of both exterior and interior noise sources, along with a noise study by a licensed acoustical engineer. Thank you, staff. The recommendation that decibel levels follow the current noise ordinance of 55 decibels until 10 p.m. is critical to the neighborhood. Thank you. Thank you, staff. Conditions related to truck resupply delivery hours and the loading dock forward entry method to reduce backup beep, beep, beep. Thank you. I noticed a couple of things. First, I regret the removal of proposed condition number 8E that stated, quote, a certified noise monitor shall be placed on site at all times to ensure compliance with the required noise level limitations. Secondly, the outdoor terrace and function court are far closer to Miguel Shores than any current outdoor party location. I still have major reservations as to their use. Can the hotel use them and keep the peace? The first 20 years of hotel operation were very quiet. Since the hotel was sold around 2006, we are experiencing increasing disruptively loud volume party noise into our homes now before this addition is built, especially North Magellan Isle because of the crane hotel U-shape and the sound wall is only 5 feet 7 inches at our location. An increasing neighborhood decibel limit from 55 to 80 decibels was contemplated and then removed as a condition of the negative declaration. The contemplated change was never made public. Because of that, I am concerned about condition 8D. The specific, quote, the specific decibel thresholds may be modified as a result of the required noise study. That condition should be removed. Otherwise, the negative declaration is wrong. Nothing should be allowed to modify the neighborhood decibel limit. Page 19 by Gugek, G-U-G-E-K, Encinitas, California, April 2009. Initial study and negative declaration for the Ritz-Carlton Laguna Niguel proposed expansion. Section 11, noise. Would the project result in A, exposure of persons to or generation of noise levels in excess of standards established in the local general plan or noise ordinance, or applicable standards of other agencies? Answer, less than significant impact. C, a substantial permanent increase in ambient noise levels in the project vicinity above levels existing without the project. Answer, less than significant impact. If we are to believe the negative declaration, then the current noise ordinance is appropriate. The Niguel Shores neighborhood wants to hold the line at the city noise ordinance. Build what you will, but keep the peace. The hotel originally proposed a quiet spa around 2002 in place of 2 tennis courts, manicures, facials, and massages. A quiet idea that did not alarm anyone. Call it bait and switch or a Trojan horse. But the quiet spa that was originally approved morphed into the entire noisy entertainment portion of the hotel, moving next to our long-established quiet residential neighborhood property line. Billed as just an expansion or an amendment. With each new set of plans, it became larger and significantly noisier in proportion. If the noise study attached to the negative declaration as a condition shows by review of the plans that they cannot uphold the noise ordinance without corresponding increase in allowable decibel levels, then it would be proof that the negative declaration was incorrect in the first place. If there is any thought in the minds of the City Council of a change of decibel level for Niguel Shores or Ritz Cove, then this whole development permit, and especially negative declaration, needs to be brought back to the public for reconsideration, properly noticed before going to the Coastal Commission for approval, because that would be the proof, the absolute proof that the negative declaration was false, and that an EIR noise study should have been required originally, with the results of that study considered and available for public review prior to any meeting held to approve the plans. An expected permanent change in the noise level of the neighborhood is something that the EIR is designed to study. Neither item 18 on the City Council agenda tonight, nor the notice of public hearing mailed to nearby property owners, notify the public that a change in noise ordinance decibel limit has been contemplated at all, or could be contemplated in the future as a direct result of this action. Normally, an EIR result would have been produced prior to any vote by the Planning Commission. And so that is the critical difference between an EIR noise study and a negative declaration with a condition attached. I feel strongly that if any result of a noise study performed on the construction plans, especially the outdoor function court in Terrace, recommends a raised neighborhood decibel level, that the entire project return back to public review. Any change in municipal code should require proper noticing of the neighbors of the real issue. And thank you.
All right. At this time, we will have the applicant come up for 5 minutes of rebuttal. That would be the Ritz-Carlton representatives.
Hello, I'm Ted Harris, a principal at California Strategies, on behalf of the applicant. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. I'd like to first thank staff for the process over the last several months for working through a lot of these issues. I have a PowerPoint, if we could pull that up, but I'll spare you from the 25 slides in the PowerPoint. Just touch on the first couple, and if during questions and answers, we're glad to answer more items if we need clarification. But while we're putting the PowerPoint, I wanted to first go through and say that we're glad that the appellant has recognized a lot of the concessions that the city and the applicant has made, and that if you look through all the different conditions, I think we're really in agreement on all of them. On Condition 8, which was just raised, if you actually look at the language in Condition 8, the hotel is absolutely required to comply with the city noise ordinance and with the existing noise ordinance. In addition, on the beep, beep, beep sound, that there's an interest of guests and the residents to eliminate that, which I think everyone finds annoying. So we're excited that even though the actual loading dock area has not been changed, it provides an opportunity for the mediums and the other delivery trucks to going forward and dramatically reduce the beep. So we're very glad that improvement to the project. I'd also point out that in general on noise, the pavilion space creates a sound barrier, and so existing conditions, it will be much quieter than it is now. So,
Excuse me one moment, Mr. Harris. Mike, I have it on my computer as well. Yes, so if you pull it up there. Sorry for the interruption.
Thank you. Anyway, I was saying on noise, compared to the baseline existing conditions, the placement of the pavilion will create a natural wall or sound barrier, which should help the residents in the Gulf Shores. Next slide, please. So we respectfully request the City Council to uphold the Innocent Planning Commission approval to amend the site plan and the CUP and support staff's recommendation for approval. As I mentioned earlier, we agree with the condition to prepare a lighting plan, a noise plan, and an updated landscape plan per the Planning Commission's approval. And we agree with the condition to require forward-facing trucks as part of a circulation plan to minimize backup noise. And just to point out, we have our team here. We have Kathleen Truman, who's a counsel and planner on the project for the applicant. We have Paul Altamari, who's the architect. And then John Withers is one of my colleagues at California Strategies. So with that, we're available for any clarifications and questions.
Okay. Questions by council. Councilmember Schultz.
Thank you. One very short question. What does 8D, what does the language in 8D mean, the specific dB thresholds may be modified as a result of the noise study? It seems you start with the general proposition that you'll comply with the city noise ordinance, and I don't quite understand what 8D means.
For AD, either way, there's no way the city, and the city, please speak for me, would approve anything from the applicant that would not be consistent with the requirements of the city. I imagine that allows the city to be more strict and to reduce it below.
That was my guess, and
Right.
I'll follow up with staff
I don't think you can
later.
go.
I just want to see what your
Yeah, our understanding is you can require more, but there's no way that you would allow anyone in your city to violate your code.
Okay. That's all, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Additional questions from council members? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. At this time, we will provide the appellant, Judith Hummer, 3 minutes to respond with a final closing statement.
Well, egg on my face. That's great. Okay, very happy to hear that it could get more strict but not less strict. Okay, I was very happy to hear Mr. Harris say that the hotel is absolutely required to comply with the city noise ordinance. And I better understand AG now, so thank you for straightening me out. That's great. Let me collect myself. My own daughter has been previously deaf as a baby, then hard of hearing, and then wore a hearing aid for 11 years. She attended deaf school, learned sign language, and then was fully orally mainstream. Now her hearing has improved so much she can operate without a hearing aid. Just barely, but we are told by doctors we must protect her hearing from future and further harm. So since noise is documented, sustained noise is documented for so many detrimental effects, it can cause stress and physical problems. So I appreciate the city holding a line with the noise ordinance and the hotel also. what I said in the opening statement is true. It's about the noise for me. The noise, the sound, the decibel levels, the sleepless nights, the agitation, the raucous parties, the sound level, the audio tonal range, mechanical radio energy that is transmitted by longitudinal pressure waves in the air. It's all about the noise for me. The drum beats into my home, when will end, starts any time, ends any time noise. So if the hotel would work with the neighbors, could work that out, I'd be very grateful. And I thank city staff for everything you've done on this. The fact is, this building plan is a choice. The hotel operations are already working, and they have a choice to bring us hotel rooms around the pool instead, bedrooms to our bedrooms. They could still build the casitas and everything else, yet leave the existing indoor entertainment facility facing the ocean. In many ways, the current conference party rooms, banquet, entertainment facility that is located in the main building fulfills the goals and mandate of the Coastal Commission mandate of public access much better, as the current entertainment rooms provide direct coastal access and allow a large number of the public to experience and enjoy gorgeous panoramic ocean views, rather than a small number of new hotel rooms infilled to be enjoyed by only a few. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Okay. We'll now open it up to public comments. Mr. Harris, did you want to speak at public comments as well? Okay. All right. Okay. Our first speaker then will be Rita Bergman. Please state your name and city of residence.
Hello, Rita Rudner Bergman, and I live in Las Vegas and in Dana Point. And I'm recently, in fact, I haven't moved yet to Niguel Shores, but we were in the process of moving this evening when our house started to vibrate with a drum set that was as wide as this whole console here, and an amplifying system that was could live in any disco. So I just don't understand why you're saying you're complying with all these noise restrictions when my house is vibrating. And can I show anyone a picture of this drum set that was next door to me in a residential area that was making the whole neighborhood vibrate? And can I ask if that is in compliance with the noise restrictions? Can I show it to anyone? Because I have visual proof of this.
Well, anything that's visual, you'd have to turn over to our city clerk.
I'm going to do that right now. I mean, I just don't understand where, yes, we're complying and we're doing it, and my house is vibrating. So, can I email that to you? Yes. So I'll be happy to email, but I'd love it if the City Council could vigilantly address this problem and also not take it for granted that they're going to comply when they're obviously not complying at this moment.
Mayor Bartlett, if I could do this, what I'd like to do is, that as we sit here, Mark, would you please, I want to dispatch you over to Niguel Shores right now so you can personally check on it, so that we can respond appropriately. And what I'd like to do is make sure that we provide Niguel Shores with an appropriate after-hours contact number, so that if your piece is ever disturbed, you can contact staff and we can dispatch someone out there to take a look at it.
Oh, that would be fantastically lovely. Thank you so much. Can I show this picture to this person here who's going?
My card, and if I can be of any help along the way, would you hand Mr. Rudner my card?
This is next door. Right on the lawn with a 5-piece orchestra with amplifiers everywhere. I don't get it.
Will you take care? Thank you, Mark. Thank you, ma'am. And if I can be of any help, if you would like to email me that photograph so I could have it for the record, I'd appreciate it.
And this too. Thank you
That's
so
I
much.
am, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And our final speaker will be Mrs. Fasher.
Good evening, Mayor Bartlett, council people, staff, Doug Cherkesky, and assorted staff members, and especially Ursula, thank you for your help. I had a prepared speech here, but I think I'll sort of do it off the cuff. My name is Mrs. Fasher. I've lived in Dana Point since 1972. I was at the midnight meeting, April 14th, when the Ritz-Carlton was approved, and they had denied the Doheny Hotel. We waited and waited and waited and waited and finally waited and spoke. And I read quite a bit of the backup material, and it said that the Director of Community Development, Ursula Luna Reynosa, had determined that the proposed amendment to the previous approval was significant enough to require discretionary review by the Planning Commission, which caused the April 14th meeting, if that's correct. Okay, so that was my first red flag. And I've interacted numerous times with Mr. Tchaikovsky in the past, and it's, as I've said in a couple of emails, if you remember, city council people, there's an ebb and a flow that goes with the hotel noise. It'll be contained for a while, and then like tonight, this nice new resident has brought forth the information that they don't comply all the time. So sometimes we're gone in the summer, we don't hear it, I don't complain. But probably 10 years ago when I was working and I had to go to work, and the music from the St. Regis was unbearable till midnight, and we had to get an ordinance, we had to have code enforcement, we have to have all these measures put into place that sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. So I'm just asking, if I don't get beeped, I'm asking, I guess, since they've had such a long environmental impact report here, and they've discussed ad nauseum the noise concerned with the construction, went on and on about the construction noise. There's about 2 sentences about noise. Is that it?
You have 30 seconds.
Okay, well then, number one, I'd like an annual noise mitigation review, just as you're doing for the parking. You know, every year you will analyze whether the parking's working. I think you need to analyze very carefully if the noise mitigation is working. And when there's special use permits given either for the Salt Creek parking lot or for the Ritz-Carlton on their property, that we don't have to call code enforcement to complain because it's still a problem. So I appreciate whatever you can do for us. Thank you. And we love the hotel. It's not that we don't like the hotel, we just don't like the noise.
Okay, thank you. And we'll now close the public hearing and bring it back for council discussion and deliberation and a vote. Okay, would anyone like to start off? Yes, Councilmember Schoeffel.
Yeah, one question. To Ursula, how hard would it be to do an annual noise mitigation survey?
Well, condition number 8 sets forth a framework for a mitigation monitoring program, which was a result of the hearing before the Planning Commission where some of these concerns were raised, not only about the proposed new structure, but also about some of the existing operations related to outdoor noise activity.
Right.
So we tried to be very diligent in crafting a noise monitoring program that would address both of those issues, internal as well as external noise. And it does mention that the monitoring program shall be revised and updated should violations of the noise limits identified in the noise monitoring mitigation program occur after a certificate of use and occupancy is issued. So the noise study by a certified acoustic engineer needs to be done prior to us issuing a building permit. And then once it's constructed, there'll be some new noise readings taken. And if there are any violations of that, we have the opportunity to review it. There could be language at the council's discretion added to make it an annual review, but I do feel like the current language does satisfy the ability to a review.
I have no doubt that the current language currently meets the potential externalities, can adequately deal with the problem, but we have a request by a concerned resident that maybe insertion of the word annual might give some folks over in that neighborhood who live very close to this use and occasionally perceive some problem with it. Would it be that big of a deal as part of the noise monitoring program just to insert annually in there?
It certainly is not at the direction of the council.
I would propose that, leave that on the table for discussion. Otherwise, quite frankly, I don't see a lot of other material issues with this proposal.
Okay. Other council members wanting to weigh in? Councilmember Olvera.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I agree with what Councilman Schoeffel is saying, and I want to reiterate it kind of in my own thoughts. It's obvious by this testimony and by our staff report, we do have a noise ordinance on the books. How does that compare to other cities and areas? Stricter, the same, or is it, give me your best shot?
I think it's pretty similar. It's my best shot. We could look specifically, but I think it's in line with what other jurisdictions have.
And is our ordinance area specific, or is it general throughout the city? And when I say that, I'm looking at Sea Terrace, Doheny Park, Doheny Beach, Heritage Park, and Lantern Bay Park.
Well, the noise thresholds identified are consistent citywide. We do have, under our general plan, we have a noise element that does look at certain arterial streets that have maybe higher impacts of noise related to traffic. So that gets a little bit area specific under the general plan's noise element, but the ordinance in terms of establishing the thresholds for noise are consistent citywide.
Then how do we, or how often do we measure compliance to our own ordinance?
It's a complaint-driven system, so when we get noise complaints, that's when we go out and do the measurements. And we have recently purchased in code enforcement new decibel readers that are higher technology, better technology that we calibrate and use frequently.
Then is it feasible to have, with these areas that I listed, which would I now add include the hotels, that they also do their own monitoring, so maybe we don't have to respond?
Certainly, it could be added as part of a condition of approval. The noise study by a certified acoustical engineer will, I think, identify a lot of mitigation measures that the applicant can put in place to help monitor noise ongoing, such as sound alarms. We've recently done that with a business in the town center area, and all of those options, the array of tools are available to the acoustical engineer to make some recommendations. I think staff really wants to rely on the professional with the correct certification to make the right recommendations of what the hotel will need to do to comply with our noise ordinance. And so the condition is written in such a way that we're waiting for those recommendations and that they will be implemented.
Because what I'm looking at is putting the burden of responsibility on the violator as opposed to the enforcer. And I was hoping that we could do what you're suggesting and have maybe this annual report provided to us by these venues.
I suspect that will be one of the tools looked at as part of the recommendations that sound alarms can be placed. We'd want the engineer to tell us where they should be placed based on where the noise levels are coming from, being generated from, et cetera. But I suspect that would be a likely recommendation.
Okay, and the point of all my comments are, rather than wait for a complaint, I'd like us to be proactive. Thank you.
Okay, I think that's something we can look at for the rest of the areas within the city, but this is really project specific, and we do have an existing ordinance that we want to modify for this particular project, and that's what's before us this evening.
If I may, Mayor
Yes.
Bartlett. Ursula, just for a point of clarification, an annual noise study would, of course, be done at the applicant's expense as a condition of this use, correct?
Well, I didn't hear that it was an annual noise study, but it was that monitoring, an annual review that they are in compliance with the noise mitigation monitoring program.
Review study, what have you, would be at their expense, correct?
Correct. I think that would be a great addition.
I think that's the direction I was going in.
All right, additional comments, questions from council members? Councilmember Breaux?
Thanks, Mayor Bartlett.
Most of my questions were answered during the testimony in reading the applicant's appeal. Most of the issues surrounded noise, and she herself testified that she liked the noise conditions put in to address the decibel level and the noise coming from the hotel. I'd like to make a comment, thank the applicant for listening to the neighbors and amending their project to address their concerns. As I mentioned, it's a complaint-driven system. I think if we get complaints, we'll act. I don't think we should enforce anybody to spend money to do annual reports just to do annual reports. But if we get complaints, then we should act. But in hearing the testimony, I think that everything in the applicant's letter has been addressed. So I'm in a position to support upholding the Planning Commission's decision.
Okay. Was that a motion that I can second?
I'll make a motion to uphold the Planning Commission's decision.
I'll second it.
Okay, we've got some proposed amendments, though. Do you include the proposed amendment?
I would certainly support the motion in the second if we simply inserted the word annual,
Right.
As I suggested previously.
And that's under condition number 8?
Right.
Correct.
And I think it's an excellent motion in second, and just by way of discussion, I would encourage our already fine neighbors to be even more excellent neighbors. And that's always the best way when you don't have to enforce anything.
Absolutely. I think we've got a nice balance between the business and the community at this point with this motion.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Is that motion adopting alternative actions 1 or 3?
I think it's adopting the recommended action 1 and 2 from the Planning Commission with the request to amend condition number 8 for an annual noise mitigation.
And just to be clear, would that motion also include the clarifications to condition of approval number 13 that Ursula mentioned at the end of her staff report regarding loading docks?
Okay, right.
Yes. That's part of the item, right? Okay.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Could we have a vote, please?
Aye.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Bro? Aye. Councilmember Olvera?
Aye.
Councilmember Schoffel?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Weinberg?
Aye.
Mayor? Aye. Thank you.
Okay, that item passes 5-0. We have no unfinished business. We have no new business.
Oh, I'm sorry. One last thing. Also, if you could adopt the resolution approving the addendum to the negative declaration that was prepared.
So moved, Madam Mayor.
Second.
Okay. Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Thank you. Let's do this one more time. Councilmember Bro?
Aye.
Councilmember Olvera?
Aye.
Councilmember Schoffel?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Weinberg?
Aye.
Mayor Bartlett?
Aye.
Thank you.
That item
5-0.
passes. Very good. Thank you. We'll now move on to staff reports.
Just a few comments, Mayor Bartlett, if I could. First of all, again, I want to publicly thank Chief Russ Chilton for the tenacity and the commitment he brings to his new assignment. I really appreciate the way you've hit the ground running and are out in the field leading the troops, and I'm just really excited with the progress you've made in such a short time. I also want to thank Ursula. You know, Ursula and I have been talking about the upcoming budget and the workload. You keep hearing us say we have a tremendous amount of effort going on at the planning and the building counter, and so what I've asked her to do is to remunerate that for me so I can share it with the council, so I can let you know. The one thing that I'm really excited about is right now in the first 6 months, we have $20 million of private investment in people's homes, whether it be new construction or a remodel going on, and I think that's just a tremendous statement about the quality of life that people are willing to invest in their community. And I know Mr. Sutton's out doing some field reconnaissance now, but I will also want to thank him and the commitment of his building officials. Based upon the level of effort that's going on, they're going to be very busy this summer, but I know they're up to the task. Finally, I want to thank Mr. Rose. Last Friday, we had an interesting situation going on. I was out in the community and saw a plume of smoke in South San Clemente, so I swung by the animal shelter to check on the evacuation protocol for the animals should there be bad air quality or what have you. And I'm pleased to say that our general manager over there, Kim, had everything under control. The city of San Clemente was stepping up and clearing an evacuation route and making sure that everything was done orderly. But when I got back to City Hall at 2:30, we convened on a Friday a meeting in our EOC, and I have to tell you, the staff responded magnificently on a Friday afternoon at 2:30. We don't play golf in Dana Point. We actually work very hard. And we sat down with Chief Russ and Mike and Kevin, and while we were there, the county called upon our EOC to see about sheltering. And we had a very meaningful dialogue with the county to see what we could do to assist as Marine families and children were being evacuated. So it's very rewarding as a city manager to see staff working so hard serving this community, and especially when I call a meeting on Friday at 2:30, everybody comes running and they're ready to do something. So I again want to thank staff, and it's going to be a good summer. That's all I have.
Okay. And City Attorney?
I don't think I can possibly top that.
All right. We will start with council member comments. Council Member Bro.
Thanks, Mayor Bartlett. I'll go through the laundry list of meetings I attended since the last council meeting. April 17th, Dana Point Chamber Mixer at Boneyard Cafe, Doheny State Beach. April 26th, Chamber of Commerce Ribbon Cutting, SoCal Boot Camp. April 28th, American Legion meeting in the Aventurn, the Dana Point Harbor. April 29th, State of the City at St. Regis Hotel. May 1st, Chamber Ribbon Cutting at 20th anniversary of Planet Beauty. May 4th, the annual Dana Point Grand Prix of Cycling. May 13th, Town Center Association meeting. May 15th, 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War commemoration traveling wall opening ceremony. May 15th, Dana Point Chamber of Commerce Mixer at Dana Wharf. May 16th, I was honored to deliver welcome remarks at the 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War traveling wall commemoration. And May 17th, I attended the Doheny Blues Festival. That concludes my report.
Great, thank you. Council Member Olvera.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. My attendance for the city at various events include April the 29th for the State of the City Luncheon, April the 30th, Chamber Community Meeting about Doheny Village, April the 30th, Lantern District Working Group Meeting, May the 1st, ribbon cutting at Planet Beauty's 20th anniversary, May the 4th, the cycling race, May the 8th, Orange County Library Advisory Board, which we still have a problem in getting a quorum, and therefore changes to our bylaws have been forwarded on to the Board of Supervisors to reduce the quorum required to pass resolutions. May the 15th, at the opening ceremonies for the Vietnam Wall. On the 15th, also the Chamber Mixer. On the 16th, I was a volunteer at the wall at the name locator booth. And on the 17th of May, I was at the wall for a speaker where I shared experiences with a high school classmate of mine whose name appears on the wall. And then also State of the County address on the 14th. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Council Member Schoeffel.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just briefly, Russ, it's good to have you back. Russ and I sat together as planning commissioners years ago and tried to do good things, and hopefully did a few of them, along the way. And good to turn to my left and see you there. So, fine job. I agree with Mr. Shotkevis. You're off to a great start. And I'm hearing that from more than 4 people, too. So, very, very looking forward to that. I turned in my meetings. I can say that with great sincerity this evening. Kathy's got them, and hopefully they'll show up someplace in the future. And I'd like everybody to attend the closing performance of the Dana Point Symphony Orchestra on May the 31st. Get there early. It will be packed. We're expecting about 1,400 people. An evening of St. Son's, you will hear the organ like you've never heard it before up at St. Edward the Confessor Church. So I hope I see you all there. And I know it's a great time for everybody. That's all, Madam Mayor. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. We will now turn to Mayor Pro Tem Weinberg.
Yeah. Believe it or not, I actually turned them in early this time. City clerk doesn't have to bug me to turn in my meetings. So one of the things that we talked about earlier is the Wildfire Awareness Week. We can't forget that fire season now is 12 months of the year. It used to be 6 months, now it's 12. We are in a real drought. My rain gauge says we've got about 4.9 inches of rain this year, July to July. Typically, we get 11 to 13. All you have to do is look at the hills; they're ready to ignite anytime. So, be careful. Don't throw anything out your car windows. If you were a Boy Scout, bottles can start fires. So just be very diligent in what you do and how we treat this wilderness that we live in. We're getting into what, two silly seasons. One's the election, but I will not say anything about that. But the other is, if you can't find anything in Dana Point to do on a weekend, you've locked the doors and pulled down the shades. We've got movies in the park coming up. We've got the concerts in the park and a myriad of other things happening. So please join us, enjoy this great city, and have a good night. Thank you.
Okay. And I've attended several meetings for the Transportation Corridor Agency and the Southern California Association of Governments. And like my colleagues in the council, we've had a myriad of events and activities in town. And I won't go through all the list of things, but I attended many of the same events. Just to highlight a couple of things, I gave opening remarks at for 2 of the days of our Vietnam War commemoration event. And this is if you've never seen the Traveling Wall tribute, this is the second time we've had it in Dana Point. It is absolutely magnificent. 58,000 names on the traveling wall of those that lost their lives to our country. And if you've never seen it, I don't know when we'll have it back again, but it was absolutely spectacular and great to have in our city. Last weekend we had our Doheny Blues Festival. About 20,000 plus people over the 2 days, and just great concert in the city, a lot of fun. And it brings in a lot of people into the city and a lot of revenue. In fact, I'd like to mention that we've got our quarter 4 report, and there are 2 categories in particular where we have really substantive increases in our sales tax. One, our restaurants and hotels. We're up $50,000 from the prior year. And in the category of just general food and drugs meaning like CVS and Rite Aid, up $75,000. That's a huge jump from the prior year for that quarter. So you can tell things are going very well in Dana Point, and we're slowly pulling out of the downturn in the economy. On Monday, we have at 10 o'clock in Pines Park our Memorial Day service. June 1st is the Porsche Club event in Lantern Bay Park. And, of course, as Mayor Pro Tem Weinberg stated, we've got our Dana Point movies in the park, free to the public, every Friday in June 6th, 13th, 20th, and 27th. And I believe they start at 8 o'clock in the evening. So bring the family and come down and join us. And then, of course, July 4th, mark your calendars. We have our great fireworks spectacular over the Dana Point Harbor, which we're really looking forward to this year, like we do every year. If you need to get a Dana Point calendar or a community news guide, you can pick them up at City Hall or the Chamber of Commerce. And with that, we shall adjourn our meeting to our next regularly scheduled meeting, which will be June 17th. Thank you very much for joining us this evening, and have a great night.